Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this special episode of Really Dicey. This is Manny. I'm here with Craig Campbell, Nerdburger Games. If you've seen our videos previously with Craig, we always talk about some of Craig's very innovative role playing games that you put out. Is this your first card game?
Yeah, I decided to make a card game. um, it's called Slay to Win, and I have in the time that I've been making games with Nerdburger Games, like that Nerdburger Games is largely role playing games, um, and but I've always enjoyed kind of exploring different ways that role-playing games can function and kind of different formats for them. So, among games that I've got already published, there's, more traditional GM and player type games. There's solo games, GM-less games, little short zine games, and then along with bigger, more robust games with supplements and all that sort of thing. And I've always been intrigued by the idea of a role-playing game that's built out of a card deck, of cards. So essentially a card game that is also a role-playing game in some respect. And there's a handful of them out there. And so I just, I figured I'll just take my stab at it. So I sort of went for melding sort of a kind of classic card game style that people see, which is like, a monster fighting card game. So it's like a fantasy setting where you're playing a bunch of heroes that are out to save the kingdom and defeat the monsters. And then meshing that with there being a story and being a role-playing aspect to it. So that's kind of where Slay to Win came from.
If I may ask, how can you give us like a quick example of that? Because I'm very intrigued. I love the idea of using cards through role play. I've seen some games try to do it, and some use like a tarot deck, things like that. And some do better than others. And I'm very curious how you put this together.
Sure. Well, it's all kind of built up through multiple kind of decks of cards. Like it's a double deck box, but within that there's a bunch of different types of cards, different decks of cards. So like for your character, you'll draw a class card and a quality card, and a quality is like an adjective. So you might have a perceptive barbarian or a protective knight. And those two cards together will give you all of your stat information for your character for the purposes of the game. And then you'll be able to role play that character with we all know kind of what a rogue is like, what a bard is like, what a war mage is like. And then, the quality card gives you a kind of a direction to go with that from based on that archetype of that class. And then the game also includes a bunch of tarot-sized cards, larger cards, that are called story cards. And each one of them is broken down into essentially 3 acts. So there's like a story. One of the stories in there, for example, is clear the road. Like, the monsters are out on the road and they're causing trouble for people traveling and trade caravans and so forth. And there's 3 acts: Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And with each act, there's a series of 6 possible scenes that you might play, that you might role play out. And you'll determine randomly what those scenes are going to be. And you'll do 2 drama scenes from Act 1, and then there'll be a monster fight scene. And then there'll be 2 drama scenes in Act 2, and a monster fight, and 2 drama scenes in Act 3, and a monster fight. And at the end of the third act, you've defeated all, the monster or all the various monsters, depending on the story. And that's how you tell your whole story. And
Wow,
so when you're in those drama scenes, you can do as much or as little role playing as you want. So if you're just wanting to play a card game where you're fighting some monsters, you can do that. But if you want to get more into role playing, you can kind of fill up those drama scenes with more role play and just kind of use the prompts that are given on the story cards to set the stage, and then you just kind of take it from there. And during those drama scenes, through various mechanisms, that's where you're drawing cards. You're drawing weapon cards and action cards and getting cards into your hand, which you will then use during the fight scenes.
This gives me vibes of like if Munchkin had a heavier role playing aspect to it, than trying to kick down doors, get treasure, and get to level 10 with a bit of Magic the Gathering sprinkled into it. Am I understanding that correctly? Is that
a little bit? Yeah. I mean, it's a little more complex than Munchkin, and it's simpler than Magic. I guess is the best way to put it. The monsters that you fight too, like we'll talk as long as we're talking about some of the cards. Like the monsters there's 14 monster cards in the deck, which doesn't sound like a lot, but monsters are treated just like characters. You don't just use one monster card. You draw 2 or sometimes even 3 monster cards, and it creates like a hybrid monster. So like the cover of the box shows like a dragon that's breathing fire and ice. That's a combination of like an ice elemental and a dragon. So it's a fire and ice dragon, where you might have like a demon automaton, or a slimy owl bear as one of your monsters, where you're combining slime and owl bear. And which order you combine them in changes a little bit about how the monster works. So those monster cards can be combined in a whole bunch of different ways to create a whole bunch of different unique monsters.
Oh, interesting. Does this come with dice? Does it use dice as a mechanism, or is it straight cards?
It's straight cards. The entire game is in the box. You don't need dice. You don't need like paper and pencil. The way there is a randomizing element in it, and it's through the action cards. And if you look at the action cards, and if you go to the Kickstarter, there's examples of cards in like the videos and things. You can see some of this stuff. Each action card, in addition to having two like special abilities that you can play the action card to do, each one also has a number between 1 and 6 in a little box in the upper left. And so when you're going to make, for example, an attack check like you would in a role-playing game, instead of rolling a die, you flip an action card from the top of the action deck into the discard, and you use that number. And there's an equal number of 1s, 2s, 3s, everything, right? It's equally distributed. So you'll have action cards in your hand that you'll be playing to do things, but you'll also be flipping them into the discard to use that number for your check and for like initiative and to make sense and sense checks, defend checks, interact checks, which are all used sort of different ways. And then you've got cards that allow you to search through your decks. It allows you to go into the discard pile and pull stuff. It allows you to steal cards from other people. So there's a lot of different ways to get cards into your hand and into play.
So let's talk a little bit about the art. The cover for this card game looks fantastic. The cards that I've seen so far in your Kickstarter look fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about the art direction behind this?
Yeah, well, the artist is named Warren Kennedy, and Warren has done some artwork for some other games as well. But I think this might be his first time doing like all the artwork for a particular product. And I just kind of came across him on social media. And it's one of the things that I do, like with, I'm on Blue Sky, and I kind of collect artists. Like I follow artists that I find have like intriguing art styles and a whole variety of things. And I thought with a card game, like especially one that's kind of light and fun, and it's not overly, serious or anything, we'll stick with kind of a light and fun illustration style. So I ended up reaching out to Warren and said, hey, how would you like to draw every single piece of art in a card game? And he was down. And so, boom, here we are.
And let's talk a little bit about the Kickstarter. Right now, it's still in being crowdfunded. Is there any like stretch goals? What's been going on so far?
Well, right now, unsurprisingly, given the kind of weird economy that we're dealing with and people's hesitancy to perhaps do some funding on stuff, and it's also kind of a weird game. Like a lot of my games are kind of weird niche games. It's as we speak, it is still it's not yet funded, but it's getting very close. I fully expect, based on how things have been going and what Kickstarters tend to look like, I fully expect it to fund. It's just a question of when that happens in the next several days. And we're about we're like just a touch over halfway through the campaign as we're talking, and we're like over 80% funded. So it'll get there. The Kickstarter itself, you can see there's you can check it out. There's a ton of information. There's a how to play video. There's the the Kickstarter video itself that kind of summarizes things. There's examples of all the different cards on the page. You can get a pretty good sense of how the game plays. One thing I didn't mention when I was describing this, pitching the game is new because I haven't pitched it as many times as I have some other games. The conceit to keep in mind for this is because it is also a card game, there's a winner. Like role-playing games, you often say, well, there's no such thing as a winner in a role-playing game. If you all had fun, everybody won. But being a card game, there's a winner. So your party of adventurers are out to save the kingdom. That's all well and good. So you're going to work together, but each of you also very much wants to go down in history as the greatest monster hunter ever. So in order to do that, you need to deal as many of the killing blows as possible. You need to be the one who puts the monster down whenever possible. And that earns you trophy points based on the monsters. And so that's ultimately what determines the winner at the end of a game or a series of games.
How much time does a normal game take place, and how many players can play this game at the same time?
It's kind of built for 3 to 5 players, and on the Kickstarter page right now it says 20 to 40 minutes, but that's kind of the slim version. Like if you didn't really focus too much on the role playing kind of stuff, I think the final box is probably going to say 30 to 60, just to be a little more generous with the time frame. But it's still it's kind of based on like how much role playing you want to do. Like with this game, you could stretch it into well past an hour if you've got a group of 5 people and they all want to get really into the role playing part during all those drama scenes. But you could also play it where you keep the role playing kind of tight and quick, or where you skip the role playing at all. So it really kind of depends on the group. But it's really intended to be a game that you could play a game at lunch easily enough. You could it could be a pickup game at a convention. You could play it a round of it like before your larger game night where you're going to play board games or a role playing game or something. You could like kind of warm up with Slay to Win and play for an hour.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this is a good pre-game to your role-playing game. I don't know if you've been in this situation, but sometimes there's always usually 1 or 2 people that are a little late for the game, and everyone's looking around awkwardly. So like, hey, let's put something out real fast so that till everyone gets together. Is there anything more about this that you wanted to share that I haven't asked you about?
Well, just to speak a little bit to the the whole tariff situation that I'm sure many of you listening and watching are familiar with. I've done the legwork. I've done my due diligence. I literally have 3 different printers, only one of which is in China, that I could potentially go with to produce the game. So like which one I go with is probably going to end up being decided about the time that I decided, okay, time to place the order for the print run. So, right now publishers are dealing with kind of a hairy situation where it's hard to predict things. So I figured I'm going to make sure I've got as many options as possible available. So the three different printers that we have are all kind of within reasonable amounts of money as far as cost goes for each one. I do not expect to be asking backers for more money to cover anything because I'm going to be able to go with the printer, the manufacturer that is most advantageous at that time. If anybody is wondering, because I always forget to mention this too when it's a Kickstarter, it's $25 plus shipping. Okay. But it's like it's a double deck game. It comes in a nice sturdy box. It's not like in a tuck box like one of those flimsy card boxes. It's like this is the box and the card quality is like premium level. This is a game product that will stand the test of time. You'll be able to put it in your backpack or your handbag or whatever, and like it can get dinged up, and it's not the box isn't gonna fall apart or anything like that.
And if anyone out there watching this and not really into card games, definitely check out Nerdburger Games. Again, they have some really original ideas when it comes to role-playing games. Crystal Hands is an award-winning game that is fantastic. Which we should do more videos about that. But I know we've done the interview about it, but it's really good to. I would like to explore that some more, but that would be
Sure.
up for a different video.
As a
So
note for anybody, if you want to support Nerdburger Games, a small press indie publisher, but card games aren't your thing, if you check out this Kickstarter, there's a $1 backer level that gets you allows you to be able to get add-ons. And so what we did was we included all of Nerdburger Games fantasy role-playing games as add-ons. So Good Strong Hands and its supplement, and my 2 solo games, Secrets of the Vibrant Sea and Secrets of the Vibrant Isle, are all available. So at a discount. So you could support this Kickstarter to get the card game made, but get role-playing games for yourself instead.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about Slay to Win. I hope to see this in stores sometime in the near future. Again, viewers and listeners, I will put all the links in the description below. Thank you for watching or listening, and be safe out there. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.